I decided to give Amazon Originals another go, hoping that I'd get something more exciting than Play Dirty. So I chose the major release that preceded it, a French action comedy called McWalter. McWalter is the story of an American agent who is falsely accused of a series of attacks around the world. He goes on the run to clear his name, solve the mystery, and stop a major international conspiracy. It starts off with a raid to rescue hostages gone wrong, where he is called in to clear things up, showing up in a souped-up muscle car with his name and face emblazoned on the doors and roof, doing donuts and receiving a round of applause. He rescues them and kills the terrorists in what I assume was supposed to be a mix of comedy and action, but looks lame and unimaginative. There are also a dumb explosion and some dreadful one-liners. Shockingly, his wife works there and is accidentally killed in his attempt to free her by one of the terrorists, who is simultaneously killed by our hero. Her dying words are to make him promise to fix his memory problems which will be important later on in the story. 10 months later, he's broken. The news reports the latest in a series of major terrorist bombings, and McWalter is arrested and taken into custody by his former boss at the NUS, or ASS in English. Handprints, footprints, and DNA point to him as the terrorist. An explosion destroys the HQ, and he escapes with the help of Daniel, a talking eagle that's also his friend. Yes, a talking eagle. Oh, and this eagle doesn't appear in the rest of the film. A former hero of the world is now public enemy number one. He's helped by Pollux, someone he worked with in the past, who believes in his innocence. He reveals that the bombs use something called smegma, which is only produced in the nation of Countrystan. In Countrystan, he finds the smegma factory, where a mime explains to him that it was bought by a mysterious man who depleted the local resources, treated the workers like slaves, then closed the factory. For some reason, all his mimes come with realistic sound effects, and he even climbs steps that aren't there. After escaping Countrystan and being chased by NUS agents and Countrystan police in an oil tanker, he ends up on Bermuda's Islands, reuniting with his brother and encounters Drogan, the mastermind behind the attacks, who is also the terrorist he killed earlier. McWalter discovers that he may well be responsible for the attacks and turns himself in. After another attack, his former nemesis at NUS breaks him out of jail, and after a big revelation about his past. There's a final confrontation where the world is saved and the bad guys defeated. McWalter was innocent, and we have a revelation about that too. The NUS, or ASS, is replaced with SHUT, C-U-N-T, in English. And all is well. The end. This was one of the longest 100 minutes I've ever experienced while watching a movie. First of all, it's in French, which is fine. The subtitles were clearly condensed for faster reading. However, there was no option for dubbing. You have no choice but to read the text, which some people just aren't that good at. Why no dubbing? It wouldn't have been an adverse effect on the jokes any more than the text. Amazon could easily have afforded it, so why not do it? And then there's the rest of the film. I think this is the first French comedy I've ever seen, and I wonder if they have a different sense of humour to us Brits, because this is one of the least funny films I have ever seen. This was clearly an attempt to spoof Hollywood. The character is American, but it's all in French, which is something English-speaking movies have done a lot over the decades. That probably lands better for French audiences. There are a few meta jokes about the filmmaking process, such as a visible stuntman on wires behind McWalter when he stands up from landing a big jump, a car chase that revealed to be green screen with a fan, and a reference to a line being cut from an earlier scene. There are also some ham-fisted and dreadfully poor references to racial politics, climate change, bullying, and the cult of celebrity. I think this is an attempt to make a Zucker Brothers and Abraham movie with the surrealist slapstick absurdity of a comedy. The acting is both over the top and boring. The plot is dumb. The tropes made me roll my eyes. Movies like Top Secret, Airplane, and The Naked Gun are some of the most beautifully crafted comedies that have ever been put on camera, let alone the stage or in print. Every single joke is perfectly paced and placed. They are unpredictable but weirdly obvious. They come out of nowhere and then disappear for the next line to take the spotlight. Nothing lingers longer than needed. Nothing is dragged on and on for the sake of it. Everything goes on for as long as necessary and not a frame more. Most importantly, nothing is played as a comedy. Airplane was essentially a rewrite of a Boo movie called 0 Hour. Each scene was a rewrite of the original, with comedy replacing the serious lines, and yet the drama was carefully preserved. It was played out as a drama, with dramatic actors hired rather than comedy veterans. These juxtapositions made the movie even funnier. McWalter is a comedy that's not only trying to be funny, but is also desperate to be seen as funny. It's like a cartoon where a character gets hit on the head with a heavy object, with the requisite doing noise and the stars and birds circling their head. Every comedic scene, line of action, is screaming, "Look at how funny this is!" and it fails. McWalter is poorly written, poorly acted, poorly directed, soulless, witless, insight-free 100 minutes of some of the worst comedy I have ever stupidly chosen to sit through. And I've watched an episode of Joey. I can definitively say that the lack of dubbing made no difference whatsoever. It was catastrophically unfunny, boring, not particularly nice to look at, soulless, characterless, jokeless, and one hell of a painful drag in the evening. I don't know how I managed to get through it, which may be an end achievement for me, but not one I look forward to repeating.